What happens when Hollywood royalty meets late-night television and the cameras keep rolling during the most explosive celebrity meltdown ever caught on live TV? It only took 35 seconds of one guest's shocking outburst to turn what should have been a friendly chat into television history's most dramatic walk-off. Jimmy Kimmel adjusted his tie and smiled at the camera as the familiar theme music faded. The studio audience buzzed with excitement, phones already out, ready to capture whatever memorable moments might unfold during tonight's show. "Welcome back to Jimmy Kimmel Live," Jimmy said, his voice warm and inviting. "I'm here with Meghan Markle, and we've been having such a wonderful conversation about her new projects." "Meghan, I have to ask, how do you balance everything? The charitable work, the media appearances, staying connected with your fans?" Meghan shifted in her chair, her smile looking slightly forced under the bright studio lights. "Well, Jimmy, I think people don't really understand the pressure of being in my position. Every single thing I do gets scrutinized. Every word gets twisted." "I can only imagine," Jimmy replied with genuine sympathy. "But you've handled it all with such grace. I mean, your fans absolutely adore you." "Do they, though?" Meghan's voice carried a sharp edge. "Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like everyone has an opinion about how I should live my life, what I should say, what I should do." The audience grew quieter, sensing a shift in the conversation's tone. Jimmy maintained his professional composure, leaning forward slightly. "Well, that comes with the territory of being a public figure, right? I mean, we all deal with criticism. I get roasted online every single day," Jimmy said with a light laugh, trying to bring some levity back to the moment. Meghan's expression hardened. "Oh, please, Jimmy, you have no idea what real criticism looks like. You're a man, you're white, you host a cute little talk show where everyone laughs at your jokes, whether they're funny or not." The studio fell silent. Jimmy blinked, clearly taken aback by the sudden hostility. I was just trying to relate to your experience. I know it's not the same thing." "Relate?" Meghan let out a bitter laugh. "You make millions of dollars telling jokes to people who are paid to laugh. I have to deal with actual hatred, actual threats, people questioning my every move, my marriage, my choices." Jimmy's voice remained calm and measured. "You're absolutely right that your challenges are unique, and I shouldn't have tried to compare our situations. I was just trying to say that I admire how you've handled everything." "Handled everything?" Meghan's voice rose. "Jimmy, I shouldn't have to handle anything. The problem isn't how I handle things. The problem is that people expect me to be grateful for scraps while they worship others who've done far less." The camera caught Jimmy's uncomfortable expression as he tried to navigate the increasingly tense conversation. "I think your work speaks for itself, Meghan. Your advocacy, your charitable efforts." "My work?" Meghan interrupted. "Let me tell you about my work, Jimmy. I've been trying to change the world while everyone else has been trying to tear me down. Do you know what it's like to have your every breath analyzed? I can see that you're frustrated, and I think that's completely understandable," Jimmy said carefully. "But maybe we could talk about some of the positive impacts you've been making? Your recent initiative with positive impacts?" Meghan cut him off again. "Jimmy, the positive impacts I could make if people just listened instead of constantly questioning my motives would blow your mind. But instead, I have to sit here and pretend like everything is fine, while people like you ask me softball questions and expect me to be grateful for the platform." Jimmy's eyebrows raised slightly. "I'm sorry, people like me?" "Yes, people like you," Meghan repeated, her voice growing more agitated. "People who've never had to fight for anything real, who've never had their identity questioned, who get to sit in their comfortable chairs and play the nice guy, while the rest of us do the actual work of changing the world." The audience was completely silent now, the tension in the room almost palpable. Jimmy took a deep breath, clearly trying to maintain his professionalism. "Meghan, I respect your passion and your perspective. I really do. But I brought you on the show because I genuinely admire what you're doing, and I wanted to give you a platform to talk about it." "A platform?" Meghan's laugh was sharp and humorless. "Jimmy, this isn't a platform, this is a circus. You bring people on here to perform for your audience, to give them little sound bites they can share on social media. This isn't real conversation. This is entertainment." "Well, yes, this is an entertainment show," Jimmy admitted. "But that doesn't mean the conversations aren't real or meaningful. I've had some incredible discussions with guests about important topics." "Important topics?" Meghan scoffed. "Like what? Which celebrity is dating whom? Who wore what dress to which event? Come on, Jimmy. Let's be honest about what this really is." Jimmy's patience was clearly being tested, but his voice remained even. "We cover a wide range of topics on this show. Yes, we have fun, but we also discuss serious issues. Just last week you had who? Meghan interrupted. Another comedian? Another actor promoting their latest movie? When was the last time you had someone on here who is actually changing the world instead of just pretending to? The studio audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Jimmy straightened up, his professional smile becoming more strained. Meghan, I've had activists, politicians, authors, scientists, people from all walks of life who are making real differences in the world. And how did you treat them? Meghan demanded. Did you ask them about their personal lives? Did you make jokes about their appearance? Did you turn their serious work into punchlines for your monologue? Jimmy paused, clearly struggling to maintain his composure. I try to treat all my guests with respect, while also keeping the show entertaining. That's the balance we strike here. The balance you strike? Meghan repeated mockingly. That's exactly the problem, Jimmy. Everything has to be balanced, everything has to be palatable, everything has to be fun. Meanwhile, real issues get glossed over because they might make your audience uncomfortable. I don't think that's fair, Jimmy said, his voice finally showing a hint of frustration. We've tackled plenty of serious topics on this show. Fair? Meghan's voice crescendoed. Jimmy, do you want to talk about what's fair? What's fair is giving people who are actually making a difference the respect and platform they deserve, instead of treating them like circus acts for your amusement. Jimmy's jaw tightened slightly, but he kept his voice controlled. Meghan, I understand you're passionate about these issues, but I don't think it's fair to attack the show or the other guests who've been here. Everyone who comes on deserves respect. Deserves respect? Meghan's eyes flashed. Jimmy, respect is earned. And sitting in a chair telling jokes while real people are out there fighting for justice doesn't earn you anything except a paycheck. The camera operators exchanged glances, unsure whether to keep rolling or cut to commercial. Jimmy made a subtle hand gesture, indicating they should continue filming. I think we might be getting off track here, Jimmy said diplomatically. Why don't we talk about your upcoming projects? I know you have some exciting things in the works. Off track? Meghan laughed bitterly. Jimmy, this is exactly on track. This is what real conversation looks like when someone isn't just here to promote something and smile pretty for the cameras. I appreciate authentic conversation, Jimmy replied, but I also think we can have meaningful dialogue without attacking each other personally. Attacking you? Meghan's voice rose another notch. Jimmy, I'm not attacking you. I'm telling you the truth. The truth about how this industry works. The truth about who gets platforms and who gets silenced. The truth about what real change looks like. And I value your perspective on those issues, Jimmy said, clearly struggling to steer the conversation back to safer ground. But maybe we could discuss solutions rather than just pointing out problems. Solutions? Meghan practically spat the word. Jimmy, the solution is for people like you to step back and let people like me actually speak, without constantly interrupting and trying to control the narrative. I'm not trying to control anything, Jimmy protested. I'm trying to have a conversation with you. No, you're trying to manage me. Meghan shot back. You're trying to keep me in a neat little box where I say what you want me to say, where I'm grateful and gracious, and don't make your audience too uncomfortable with reality. The studio audience was completely silent now, some people looking down at their phones, others staring in fascination at the unfolding drama. Jimmy took a visible deep breath. Meghan, I brought you on this show because I respect your work, and I wanted to give you a platform to share your message. If that's not coming across, I apologize. Your platform? Meghan's voice dripped with disdain. Jimmy, this isn't your platform. This is a corporate platform that you happen to sit behind. You don't own these conversations. You don't control these narratives. And you certainly don't get to decide who deserves to be heard. You're right that I don't control the narrative, Jimmy agreed. That's why I try to let my guests speak freely about what matters to them. Freely? Meghan let out a harsh laugh. Jimmy, there's nothing free about this. Every word I say here will be chopped up, analyzed, taken out of context. That's not freedom. That's performance. Jimmy's professional mask was starting to slip. Then why did you agree to come on the show if you feel that way about it? Because sometimes you have to work within broken systems to try to change them, Meghan replied sharply. But that doesn't mean I have to pretend the system isn't broken. I don't think our show is a broken system, Jimmy said, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his voice. We try to create a space where people can share their stories and connect with audiences. Connect with audiences? Meghan scoffed. Jimmy, your audience is here to be entertained. They're not here to be challenged or educated or made to think about uncomfortable truths. They're here to laugh and clap and feel good about themselves. Several audience members shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Jimmy glanced toward them, then back at Meghan. "I think you're underestimating our audience," Jimmy said. "They're capable of handling serious conversations and complex topics." "Are they?" Meghan challenged. "Because every time I've tried to have a serious conversation in public, I get told I'm being too political, too angry, too difficult. Your audience wants me to be a princess, not a person with actual opinions." "I don't want you to be anything other than yourself," Jimmy said firmly. "But I also don't think attacking the show or the audience is productive." "Productive for who?" Meghan demanded. "Productive for your ratings? Productive for your advertisers? Because it's certainly not productive for the people who are actually trying to create change in this world." Jimmy's patience was clearly wearing thin. "Meghan, I've been doing this show for years, and I've had thousands of conversations with people from all backgrounds. I think I know how to create a space for meaningful dialogue." "Do you, though?" Meghan's voice was ice cold. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you know how to create a space for people to say exactly what you want them to say in exactly the way you want them to say it." "That's not true," Jimmy protested. "I encourage all my guests to speak their minds." "As long as they speak their minds politely," Meghan shot back. "As long as they don't make anyone too uncomfortable. As long as they don't challenge the status quo that keeps people like you in power." "People like me?" Jimmy's voice finally showed real irritation. "What does that mean?" "It means people who benefit from systems of inequality while pretending to be allies," Meghan said coldly. "People who talk about diversity and inclusion while maintaining spaces that are fundamentally exclusive." Jimmy stared at her for a long moment. "I think that's an unfair characterization of who I am and what this show represents." "Is it?" Meghan challenged. "Jimmy, look around this studio. Look at your writing staff. Look at your production team. Look at who gets invited to sit in this chair and who doesn't. Then tell me about how inclusive this space really is." "We have a diverse staff and we book guests from all backgrounds," Jimmy replied defensively. "Diverse staff that you manage," Meghan countered. "Diverse guests that you control the narrative for." "That's not real diversity, Jimmy. That's tokenism with a smile." The tension in the studio had reached a breaking point. Jimmy's hands gripped the armrest of his chair as he tried to maintain his composure. "Meghan, I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this," he said tightly. "Agree to disagree?" Meghan's voice rose to near shouting level. "Jimmy, that's exactly the problem. When someone challenges you, when someone tells you uncomfortable truths, you want to just agree to disagree and move on. That's not how real change happens." "I'm all for real change," Jimmy said, his voice strained. "But I don't think personal attacks and accusations are the way to achieve it." "Personal attacks?" Meghan stood up from her chair, towering over Jimmy's desk. "Jimmy, everything I've said tonight is about systems, about power structures, about inequality. The fact that you're taking it personally just proves my point about how defensive people get when their privilege is challenged." Jimmy looked up at Meghan, who was now standing beside her chair. Her face flushed with anger. The entire studio held its collective breath as he slowly rose to his feet, matching her height but maintaining his distance. "Meghan, I need you to sit back down," Jimmy said quietly, his voice carrying a firmness that hadn't been there before. "We're live on television, and I think we both need to take a step back here." "Don't you dare tell me what I need to do," Meghan snapped, pointing her finger at him across the desk. "I'm done sitting down. I'm done being quiet, and I'm done pretending like this is all okay." "Nobody asked you to pretend anything," Jimmy replied, his professional composure finally cracking. "I invited you here as a guest, to have a conversation, not to be lectured about everything that's wrong with me and my show." "Everything that's wrong with you?" Meghan's voice reached a new pitch. "Jimmy, what's wrong with you is that you can't handle the truth. You can't handle someone telling you that your little bubble of privilege isn't as perfect as you think it is." The audience began murmuring among themselves, phones out and recording as security personnel moved closer to the stage area. Jimmy noticed their movement and held up a subtle hand to stop them. "I can handle the truth just fine," Jimmy said, his voice getting stronger. "But what you're doing isn't truth-telling, it's attacking. There's a difference between having a conversation about important issues and just tearing people down." "Tearing people down?" Meghan laughed harshly. "Jimmy, you have no idea what being torn down actually looks like. You've never had to rebuild yourself from nothing while everyone watches and judges every move you make." "You're right. I haven't had your exact experiences," Jimmy acknowledged. "But that doesn't mean I don't understand struggle or that I don't care about the issues you're raising." "Care about the issues?" Meghan's voice was dripping with contempt. "Jimmy, Caring about issues isn't the same as doing something about them. You sit here every night making jokes while the world burns around us. And what exactly are you doing about it besides yelling at talk show hosts? Jimmy shot back, his patience finally exhausted. Because from where I'm sitting, all I see is someone who's angry at the world and taking it out on everyone around them. The studio gasped audibly at Jimmy's response. Meghan's face contorted with rage as she stepped closer to his desk. "How dare you question what I'm doing?" she seethed. "I've sacrificed everything to try to make a difference in this world. My privacy, my family relationships, my peace of mind. What have you sacrificed, Jimmy? What has any of this cost you?" "It's cost me having to sit here and listen to you attack me and my staff and my audience for the past 20 minutes, Jimmy replied sharply. "I brought you here out of respect, and you've done nothing but insult everyone in this building." "Respect?" Meghan practically screamed. "You want to talk about respect? Respecting me would mean listening to what I'm saying instead of just waiting for your turn to defend yourself." "I have been listening," Jimmy said firmly. "And what I'm hearing is someone who seems to think that being angry gives them the right to be cruel to other people." "Cruel?" Meghan's face was now completely red with fury. "Jimmy, you have no idea what cruel looks like. Cruel is having your every word twisted. Cruel is being vilified for trying to speak truth to power. Cruel is being told to shut up and be grateful by people who've never fought for anything real in their lives." "And what about being cruel to people who are trying to help you?" Jimmy countered. "What about being cruel to an audience that came here to support you? What about being cruel to a host who genuinely wanted to give you a platform?" "Give me a platform?" Meghan's voice reached its highest peak yet. "Jimmy, I don't need you to give me anything. I don't need your permission. I don't need your platform. And I certainly don't need your fake concern." "Then why are you here?" Jimmy asked pointedly. "If this is all so beneath you, if I'm so terrible, if the show is so worthless, then why did you agree to come on?" Meghan stared at him for a long moment, her chest heaving with anger. "You know what, Jimmy? You're absolutely right. I shouldn't be here. This was a mistake." She reached down and unclipped her microphone, the feedback screeching through the studio speakers as she yanked it off her dress. "This is exactly what I'm talking about," she continued, holding the microphone in her hand. "The moment someone tells you the truth, the moment someone challenges your comfortable little world, you want them gone." "I never said I wanted you gone," Jimmy protested. "I just asked why you came, if you hate everything about being here. Because I thought maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for real conversation." Meghan spat. "But I should have known better. People like you don't want real conversation. You want performance. You want people to dance for your entertainment." She threw the microphone down on Jimmy's desk with a loud thud that echoed through the studio speakers before they cut the audio feed. "This is over," she declared, grabbing her purse from beside her chair. "I'm done performing for people who don't deserve the performance." Jimmy stood behind his desk, watching as Meghan stormed toward the side exit of the stage. "Meghan, please," he called after her. "Let's just take a breath and—" "Don't!" She whirled around, pointing at him one final time. "Don't you dare try to manage this moment too. You got exactly what you wanted. You got your drama. You got your viral moment. You got your content. Congratulations, Jimmy. I hope it was worth it." Security moved to escort her, but she waved them off angrily. "I can walk myself out. Thank you very much." As she disappeared through the curtains, the studio sat in stunned silence. Jimmy remained standing behind his desk, his face pale, his hands shaking slightly as he tried to process what had just happened. The audience didn't know whether to clap, gasp, or simply sit in the uncomfortable silence that had fallen over the entire studio. Camera operators kept their lenses focused on Jimmy, who slowly sank back down into his chair. "Well," he said quietly into his desk microphone, his voice barely above a whisper, That was certainly something." He looked directly into the camera, his usually bright demeanor completely drained. "We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, I honestly don't know what we're going to do when we come back." The red recording lights on the cameras continued blinking as Jimmy sat alone at his desk, the echo of Meghan's final words still hanging in the air like smoke after an explosion. In the space of 35 seconds, what had started as a routine celebrity interview had become the most shocking moment in late-night television history. The studio remained frozen in that moment, everyone too stunned to move, too shocked to speak, as the realization set in that they had just witnessed something that would be talked about for years to come. Jimmy's desk microphone remained on, picking up the sound of his quiet breathing and the distant hum of studio equipment, the only sounds in a room that had just been filled with the most explosive confrontation ever captured on live television.